welcome to my fourth episode of Bricks Talk, where the real talk begins. Today we'll talk about the currency denomination and the ratio changes between US dollar and Indian rupees. How Indian rupee has weakened against US dollar in almost 73 years. If we go back in time, what we see is Indian rupees and US dollar both have similar value in exchange. Approximately 1950s, when India has been reconstituted, this time $1 was equivalent to 1 rupee. So in almost 72 years, it has been almost 72 times or 74 times it has been devalued. I would say in that sense, against the dollar, it has lost its actual sheen. How does it happen? What are the basic reasons why Indian rupee has fallen to the knees badly against US dollars? I'll explain this with actual examples. Indians' migration from this country to US, it has been prominent, it has been widely known everywhere. So we have to understand an Indian university, an American university, the difference between these two universities. We have to study what is not special with an Indian top universities and American universities that we call it as elite universities or has been leagued in this world as topmost universities. All have been ranked by the people of the same domain. Whereas the factor in the US dollar has become stronger because each time when an Indian transfers any amount, any fund from here to the US territory, the amount goes to that territory in dollar terms. Whereas an American agency transfers fund to India, the same pattern, they do not convert to Indian terms. Indian banks convert, but they always transfer in dollar terms itself. This transfer and the check-ins and the stopping of fund from the means what should be the amount they can invest in India, Indian goes to USA. But this such criteria in India is not yet put up against those people. So this transfer of fund from one place to another, the economics between the two currencies really changes the whole algorithms, the whole mathematics of the economy. And that's what happens. So we go back to this place, that ratio between going and returning to our nation of the students of Indian universities and American universities. We think about Indian people have studied here, they become a graduate, and after that they choose a job, they choose a high study, they go to USA with an aim of getting a job there rather study. If 100 students go there, 90% students stay there to work, maybe more than that. Maybe 8 to 9% students, they might come back to Indian territory to work in other places. This one single-handedly moving one place to another, it is strengthening that country's currency, and that is an automatic process. And the outcome will be an Indian currency will be always getting damaged. So this trend began in 1990s as the Indian banks were willing to support, till now it is going on, support through educational loans in dollar terms, and which are converted to dollars. It was in millions of pounds. An average of 100,000 plus students are opting for US-bound universities every year from India, and most of them study, I would say most of them study at foolish universities even, and foolish programs which can be taught by any of the local tutor in India itself. But the billions of dollars moved to US revenue boxes in the form of US dollars each time push the Indian rupee drastically down. The cracks. If the Indians are employable in US companies, it is not because of the US universities, but because their core basic education they have been imparted from the Indian schools and colleges, and there is no doubt in this particular, talk. 1960s, only in USA, almost 12,000 Indian migrants lived in the US according to the statistics or data says. But today, it has grown out of all the proportions. It is estimated to be almost 24.5 million Asian Indians, the largest growing ethnic group in USA, is living there. This is astonishing. If the Indian migration is not reduced, there won't be any steeping down of dollar against rupee. My primary concept is criteria, my point goes that way. Why we have to strengthen Rupee? Because if we have to move forward, if we have to take our own terms, we have to dictate our terms in our country against our nation that cannot, put their legs on our head. If we want to do that, if we want to create such an economic situation, we have to think about strengthening our currency first. And no one will do in this entire world because we have to do ourselves. The Indian people means you and I, we have to think about the aspects of thinking. The denomination has to be on the upper cut. India is largely underestimated nation psychologically, and that has marginalized the whole nation at large. But the truth remains far away here. India have to re-establish its trade and tariff rates with the US in a move which has to be systematic and strategic. At the same time, in a more balanced equation we have to strike. Indians should not choose American universities for the higher studies. Rather, we should choose colleges across the world. My question here is, do you think Israeli universities are stupid universities, which do not have any qualification or they have no caliber? Are Japanese nuts? Are German universities nuts? No. So why people move to this place? It's only dollars. But they forget one thing, they are strengthening USA, they are not strengthening their mother nation, that's called India. I'm not a xenophobic person. I'm not creating any kind of divisive mentality here. What my primary concern is, I have to think it's our right, moral responsibility to strengthen our country through our currency. Economy is strong means our people are strong, and our people become strong through such wonderful thoughts to create. We have to propagate such ideas to the world. We are strong enough to create it. American universities for the higher studies, why Indians choose? Because of the dollars alone, as I said. And we should choose colleges across the world, not only USA or other nations. And they should return to our nation after the completion of their studies. That should be a primary criteria, should be made by Indian government and university, or even the UGC, or UGC, all the departments. What to the education department we have to, the education ministry has to take a strong step that with the people, the students go from this place to study in US universities or even UK universities. They have to come back after the completion of studies. They have to work in our country. Only then they should be granted the loans or what were the parameters required for them to work or to study anywhere. The billions of Indian rupees have been converted every year through bank loans, education loans in US universities alone can promote hundreds of business opportunities and establish the stronger economy in India. The students after completing the degrees may not prefer, mostly they do not like to work in India. They call their patriot, they like to say, but the fact remains, patriots do not work in India. So now you may ask a question that way, if a person likes to work in USA, cannot be patriotic? No, can't be. But right now the criteria is not more to patriotism, to strengthen the nation through our strengthening our currency, our economy, our job opportunities, our the complete market, our world, our society, to strengthen, to give jobs to people, because if every educated person thinks that way to work in another nation, our country cannot become progress because we cannot dream of that. We have to always depend on some other country. We cannot become self-reliant economically. So this is one particular thing we have to think. So they rather get thrown into American dollar hills in the US. About 70% Indians who are working in the US may not have been to acquire a job in India. May not have been able to, I would say, because they do not, or they are not qualified enough to work anywhere in this world, but still they work because cheap labor. Americans prefer the cheap labor to work, and Indian people are preferred after Chinese, the cheapest labor in USA or ready to work for anything. Do you think that this can establish a strong economy or strong Indian society as per Indian terms? We cannot. Where primary educations are being so strong, our past was so strong, despite the fact we remain in the tail end till today, because the same movement, the exodus from people, the mad rush towards the US is creating all the mess. So in this crisis, through this particular thing, like people, they do not deserve to work more in India even. So it is a harsh but truth. Yet shifting a geography to wash the utensils or make frills for a Barbie doll, they're working in the U.S. Territories, many places from Indian, or subcontinent along, is nothing but unskilled laborers. Even these lots are destroying the Indian rupee. If the US dollar is positioned against the Indian rupee, I mean $1 equals 1 rupee, I would like to see how many Indian people prefer to study in Harvard or in Stanford. Stanford University may not have Indian students then, if 1 rupee equals to $1. So where is the psychological block? These clutters need to be changed or to be cleansed. It's a psychological barrier Indians have. We have to break it. And that's my purpose of this episode. There won't be anyone to study in these universities. This is a pity, real pity of this 21st century. So what is the remedy for this? The final remedy is to trust Indian education, strengthen Indian education, and we have to shun off Cambridge or American style of education in Indian schools and universities. We need to scrap that reservation for the undeserving in education and job promotion as early as possible. No IITian or fresh doctors be allowed to migrate from India, but international student exchange programs can be promoted that makes the global meeting, the global exposure to every student, to every professional around the world. That is a great thing that's a great move we have to promote to the schools and colleges. The UK or US bar education of school education is worth nothing more than fancy methods of attracting the young minds, especially from India and South Asians. Their study guides, curriculum books, their universities are thus promoted to the world ranking of elite hub of pure business. I do not wonder to admit that the UK and the US are not the finest educators. It is time to understand this, and I do understand this. I realize it. Even I would say Donald Trump, who doesn't speak qualified English, who doesn't know how to speak without errors. It is his own mother tongue, he doesn't know how to speak. So we have to go to work in such a country to promote that country. We are not promoting our nation. This is so sad. So the morally sound education imparted by the Indian continent is fully forgotten by the vast education plateau. This is really a saddening face of India's holistic growth. It is time to raise the standards of working habit. Each dollar earned by an American strengthens his nation, and each rupee earned by an Indian is weakening the present situation in India. Before signing off, I would like to remind you, all my viewers, that the last chapter of this particular topic will be shown in my 5th episode, that is the next week. The Russian hands and the Indian will that can work wonder. So till then, keep watching and promoting Rex Talk, where the real talk begins. If you have enjoyed it, please subscribe it, leave your valuable comments on it, and I'll wait for your comments. And I like to react, I like to respond to your comments, and keep asking questions as well. Till then, good night.